Some important facts underlying the evolution of the earth and the miracle of Christmas. The willingness to consider evolutionary facts will find its rewards in the acceptance of the unfolding of greatest mysteries explained to human thinking only through spiritual science. A beginning must be made through a conviction that there is not one, but there are two worlds in our lives, a physical world in which we live and a spiritual world which contains the reality of highly evolved spirit beings. This thought is largely lost to humanity today. Artistic masterworks of painting, sculpture, music, and writing can still help us to find our path into past experiences through blessed, inspired individuals who were and still are able to see and hear into a past long forgotten for most of humanity. Some of these fact finders are those we may call human leaders or initiates. An initiate is able to open doors which allow him or her to look into the world of the Akasha Chronicle, the cosmic memory of prehistory and history of earth and man. These people can be seen as guides for the rest of us. All we need to do is to meet them with an open mind, also perhaps curiosity, trust and faith in facts coming from invisible beings called angels, guided by God. Of course, invisible to present-day humanity. However, this was not always the case. The earth did not come into existence with the Big Bang, but was the result of a very slow process of evolution. The opening words of the Gospel of John are, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made." Then it says, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us." These 4 sentences can be used for meditation. Yes, he addresses a deed that was meant for the Son of God. But we too were made flesh. Do we ever consider that? Let us return to a world of spirit before the creation of the earth. There were forces of warmth and cold. Warmth extends, cold retracts. These are, of course, deeply involved with the story of creation. We speak of the human being long before he descended to the earth. The earth was not even able to receive humanity. It too had to evolve slowly with its plants and animals. Long before mankind could descend to the earth, human beings were given a life force, also called etheric force, as well as a soul force, called the astral. The word astral was derived from Latin astra, meaning star. Then, through the forming power of the spirit world, this etheric force became an etheric body, and the astral force an astral body. Of course, there were expanding and contracting or densifying elements present in the spiritual world. All these were guided by one all-knowing God and by his highly evolved spirit beings called angels. These are guiding and guarding angels, archangels, and archai. The second rank of angelic beings are the exousiae, curiosities, and dynamis. And with the first rank, we come to the thrones, cherubim and seraphim. All these can be found looking after ever higher tasks. Once the human being had reached the earth, he also received an ego from the spiritual world. It is called the I. God said much later to us, I am the I am. Humanity was gradually able to descend to the earth from spiritual heights after developing for aeons. Only after the epochs of Lemuria and Atlantis with its flood had passed, we were rightly speaking of the arrival of man on earth, or the arrival of the human being. Highest angel beings, guided by God, had accompanied mankind to the beginnings of Earth's evolution. While all this happened, we may also know of higher spheres of angelic beings in which live planetary angels and, of course, those angels connected to the zodiac. The Earth as we know it began in 7227 BC with its first epoch called Ancient India. Ancient Persia, the second epoch, occurred under the wise guidance of Zarathustra. He taught the Persian people how to act in tune with nature, how to look after their animals, plow their fields, and how to bring up and educate their children. As a high initiate, Zarathustra was guided by Ahura Mazda, who was later called the Christ. Everything that was learned remained in the consciousness of humanity and, of course, became part of the epochs following, the ancient Egyptian and the ancient Greek-Roman epochs, which together lasted from 2907 BC to 1413 AD, to the beginning of our present time, the epoch of the consciousness soul. Angelic beings from heaven and highly evolved human beings worked under God, Ahura Mazda's, and Michael's watchful eyes. Michael became an archai, looking after our epoch, while Vida took his place as an archangel. Everything will continue into two further epochs, called the Russian and the American epochs. Each epoch lasts 2,160 years, the time the sun takes to go from one zodiacal sign to the next. Perhaps we can take a good look at the picture of the human being with 12 zodiacal signs placed around him in a circle. Not only human beings, but also angels have the chance to evolve. Angels who did not reach their goal but have instead turned against the evolution by following their own goals are shown in the enclosed picture from the Middle Ages. These are fallen angels, and Lucifer was the first one who tempted the human being in paradise with an apple from the forbidden tree of knowledge. In the following picture, we see the moment of angels falling from paradise. Ahriman, the second evil being who is using our intelligence to divert us from the spiritual world, also attempts to create his own kingdom. He stands behind materialism, lies, and has been presented in the course of time as the dragon. The third group of evil angels are the Asuras, who try to attack our ego. All these groups of beings are evil counterforces. They tempt our thinking, feeling, and willing, and were described in an earlier video when looking at the Sphinx in Egypt and depicted by Raphael in the vision of Ezekiel. as the three beasts. Our path as created by God led us to the time when God sent his only Son to the earth to help mankind in their fight against evil. Without him, no return to paradise would be possible. By thinking of him, we have arrived at Christmas. Another important explanation needs to be looked at: the picture introducing the video number 5 on Christmas. The opening picture was painted by Raphael and is called the Madonna del Duca. It shows us the Luke Mary with her child, and on her left side St. John with the cross. Those two children are leaning towards each other. On the right side is a child a little older and more secure, the Matthew Jesus child. At this point, I would like to briefly introduce the two gospel writers, Luke and Matthew. Both describe a family with Mary, Joseph, and a child called Jesus. In those days, these names were quite common. Both writers are important in the light of the two Jesus children. Luke was deeply connected to Eastern thinking and feeling. Voices of the Bodhisattvas spoke to him about hope, compassion, sacrifice, faith, and love. These feelings alone save us from the destructive demonic forces. The child that was born to the Luke Mary was described in the Christmas video as the sister soul of Adam, a human soul protected from the fall of man. This soul was overshadowed by the Nirmanakaya, purest astral body of the Buddha. The babe was born to the very young Mary, who herself still was a child. So pure, she was loved by everyone. Luke wrote to the human heart. He reminded us at the beginning of the birth announcement, to shepherds in the field, to all humanity on earth, the Savior of the world from high above had chosen Bethlehem for his birth, that we on earth be led to ever greater deeds of love. The Luke child in art is usually shown with the cross in the aura and very close to his mother. Matthew was also deeply interested in the evolution of the earth. He beheld Zarathustra as the wisest initiate, so we are told. It was Zarathustra who was born as the Jesus child of the Solomon line. In the temple scene, his ego transferred into the Luke boy, who was then immediately able to answer all the questions of the wise man. This brings us to an important question. What and whom do we celebrate at Christmas during the Holy Night, December 24th, and the day of Christmas on December 25th? The birth of the Luke Jesus child, the birth of the Matthew Jesus child, the birth of both children, or 4, the birth of God's Son in the River Jordan through John the Baptist on the 6th of January. One realizes how very complex the evolutionary process is becoming when looked at in detail. In our time today, it is helpful for many people on earth to take these important facts into their consciousness. Amen.